This is 8.3, part 3. We need to add these together if possible. We definitely need to simplify them. I can simplify the square root of 50, so I'm going to write 4 times. If we look at our sheets, we have a 50 right in here. So if I cover up the top two, I see that the square root of 50 would equal, I have a pair of 5s, so 5 on the outside, and then a 2 stuck on the inside. So the square root of 50 would be 5 times the square root of 2. So I place 5 times the square root of 2 here, plus 3 times the square root of 12. Well, I have 12 right here in this one. If I cover up the top two, the square root of 12 is going to be, I have a pair of 2s and then a 3 left over. So the square root of 12 would equal 2 times the square root of 3. Okay, so I place 2 times the square root of 3 here, minus 5 times the square root of 45. I believe, yes, I have right here. We did it before. The square root of 45 is 3 times the square root of 5. Okay, now let's multiply the numbers in front. And here you get 20 square root of 2 plus 6 square root of 3 minus 15 square root of 5. Now, these are not the same. None of these are the same. So this whole thing is our answer. We aren't allowed to combine those, and we are stuck with that. Okay, let's see what happens when we go to check this. As I thought, it gives you the decimal approximation. It does not give you the simplified form. So this is one of the reasons why we need to know how to do this by hand, because your calculators cannot handle everything. Another reason is because we're not always going to have only numbers. We will also have some variables. Now, if you recall, dealing with variables under a radical is often easier than dealing with a number by itself. We still have to simplify these. We can only combine them if our radicals are exactly the same, but we also have to make sure that our variables are exactly the same. We have to end up with the same variable underneath the radical in order to be able to combine them. And if we had variables in front of the radical, those also have to match. So we just have a little bit more to worry about here. Okay, so let's look at simplifying this first one. Remember that the understood index is a 2. The square root of 6 is not something that can simplify. If you look here, the prime factorization of 6 is 2 times 3. There are no pairs, so that does not simplify. But I can simplify this. If you recall, what we do is basically elementary school division. How many times does 2 divide into 2? It goes 1 time. And then how many did you have left over? None. So we end up, since 2 divided into 2 one time, we have x to the first power on the outside. And then we have the square root of 6, and then we have no more x's on the inside because it went in exactly. So you don't need to write that first power. So really what we have here is x times the square root of 6. That's this in its best form. Plus. Now the square root of 24 will simplify. So I have x times the square root of 24, we've done a couple of times. It's 2 times the square root of 6. Okay, now I'll multiply the numbers in front. I have x square root of 6 plus 2x square root of 6. Now let's see if we are allowed to combine them. First of all, if I need a number in front, I can put a 1 in front. I have the same variable in front of the radical, and I have exactly the same radical. So I combine like terms. I do 1 plus 2, which is 3. And then I keep the parts that are the same. So 3x times the square root of 6. The variable does not make it that much more difficult.